I was actually about to call you. Thank you for joining us. Oh yeah, and we are all in white. It's a peaceful day. I like that. So we are just engaging the team and we are asking what made them choose the HR professional, and we're getting quite some interesting answers. Millie Joseph says, working around and with people was my passion. Violet says, as a PA, that was the best option as I liked working with people. Mother says, my first job was HR related, and that's how I got interested in HRM. Shelley says, the best career advice from my boss after high school when I was having difficulty deciding on a course. Richard says, a desire to serve people or employees. Donald, my brother applied for me based on my leadership skills at a young age. Interesting. And then we have Valentine, who says, I was an admin for some time and transitioned to HR as the pioneer for the department. Wow. Agatha says, for me, passion, I love serving people. But now I just wanted to ask, well, we have some interesting comments on the chat. If you're online, please see whether you relate with the people. A lot of people are saying it's passion for the people. Somebody is saying, I was waiting to see Nancy, then boom, Nancy is coming, don't worry. She's with us actually, she's already online. Linda says, I did BCom and HR was the only major that I felt worked with. And then Doreen says, I was interested in understanding people's welfare and bring the best of them. That's very, very interesting. I like the answers we are getting, and I'm sure our panelist is listening. So it's 8:15. Allow us to now continue with just a bit of housekeeping. So as always, my name is Grace Nzula. I'm a HR consultant and trainer with Atara Solutions. I have been an HR for the last about 12 years, and I love what I do, I must say. If you want to know whether I started as an HR, no, I did not actually. I must, probably some of you don't know that. I did not start as an HR, but I found myself in it and loved it, and I have been enjoying it since that time. So for all of you who are saying that this was not the choice or the first choice, I really understand what you mean. So I am probably in it myself. So, and I was saying to the people today, this is the HR professional session, and therefore, because in celebration of the HR month, you will get 1 CPD point for being here. Please note, for your friends who registered and are not attending, they do not qualify for the 1 CPD point. This is only for the people who attend. So I just think you need to know that. So in the meantime, allow me to just appreciate our sponsors of today. We have Balcon Housing. Balcon Housing is a real estate company that has that deals in property management and sells land. They have been kind enough to sponsor us for season 2. So this episode is brought to you courtesy of Balcon Housing and Stallion Construction Company. We have been celebrating 1-year anniversary, and we have quite a number of partners who have been doing giveaways to our audience. Also, for the people tuned in today, you will stand a chance to win a giveaway. We have Kapula Mintito, which whose giveaway was already won by Jairus Walemba. Most of you probably know Jay. We also have a cake from Favored Cakes and Caterers, which was won by Simon. We also have a gift hamper from Balcon Housing, which was won by one, what's his name? Hillary. Now, today, one of you will actually get a chance to walk away with something, either from JC or from Sorel Laundry. Sorel Laundry is a laundry shop that offers same-day delivery on their, so one of you will actually get a chance to get their duvet cleaned for free. And as we continue, so somebody is asking, how do I win? I will let you know. So, and yeah, this is quite an interesting topic today. And because in the interest of time, allow me not to talk too much about what we do. But if you're joining us for the first time, this is called Get It Right with Atara Solutions. It's a webinar series that takes place every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. We are on the 40th episode. Yay! And we're really excited, and we appreciate you for your support. And allow me to just ask Mr. Nancy,
Yes, Grace, good evening.
Good evening. You're still not able to see you.
I just cannot figure it out, but I'm definitely not the gentleman in spectacles and white. That cute photo is my photo. I'm so sorry. I just can't figure it out because my camera is on. Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm sure the professionals will learn today. Don't worry about that as we figure out what's happening. But please just, if you can introduce yourself in the interest of time.
Thank you, Grace, and good evening, everyone. My name is Nancy, and just to answer the question that Grace was asking, I also didn't start in HR. I stumbled into HR. I started off in operations. I did operations for about 7 years. And I tried enterprise for 3 years. And then, as Winnie has said, boom, found myself in HR. So besides that, I'm a coach, and I'm also an emotional intelligence practitioner. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, Nancy is a certified coach, certified emotional intelligence practitioner. She has a lot of certified, my friend, if you knew. She also is a HR practitioner who has been in operations. She's worked in manufacturing, she's worked in banking, she's worked in health sector. So you guys are actually here, I'm in safe hands. So allow me to ask Mr. Madhangani, how did you start HR? And you can carry on rather.
Yes, okay, actually I also didn't start in HR. I started in administration, and then I got a job as a HR, and henceforth it has just been HR and HR. Different organizations cutting across banking and finance, manufacturing, water services provider, health sector, and yes. Right. My journey is long, but that's how I started. Yes, I actually never thought about it initially. I wanted to be totally something different.
Yeah. So now my question is, Madhangani, how do we become better at professionals? And please start by telling us, are we doing a job or running a career? Which is which? Where do we belong? You have muted yourself. We can't hear you.
Where off, yes. As HR, the first thing is, of course, if you recognize the reasons people have given out, some have said, oh, I love people. Others said it's because it's my passion. I like helping people. But the most important to know is what is it that you want to achieve? Why are you into this?
So as our coach sorts out his technological issues, I like that. So people are saying, Pole sana Coach Muya, we will wait for you to come back. Okay. So I know he's trying to sort it out. I know he's muted, but some of the things, Nancy?
Yes, I hear you, Grace. Madhangani actually says that he can't even see himself. He's having some issues.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you want to take on?
Carry it on? Yes, I can take it on. I also didn't start off in HR, as I said. I started off in operations, and I did operations in microfinance for more than 5 years as a credit officer. In the course of that time, I wanted to do my MBA, but I thought I didn't have enough money. So I decided in the meantime to do a bridging course, which was a diploma course. And I went to consult my big sister, telling her that I want to do PR. But my big sister looked at me, she shook her head, and she was kind of, with their temperament, not PR. So HR seemed like a very nice name. It was about working with people. I had done a bachelor's of social work, and I had an interest working with people. In microfinance, I was working with communities of business people. So HR was the next option. And here I am, so many years after I finally switched into HR. But again, when I got into HR, I didn't go through the normal path of HR where you start as an assistant, an officer. I moved from operations to HR manager. So it was a throw into the deep. I had to figure out my way. I had to swim because I had to succeed.
Yeah.
Yes, that is what I could say about my career. But I know what really helped me when I found myself as a HR manager in manufacturing. It was the interest of getting to understand the business, because I was very cognizant of the fact that I had never done HR. I had never been in manufacturing, so had to create a keen interest in knowing the business. And that is how I was able to grow. That is how I was able to swim. And I'm here about 13 years after.
Wow, today technology is doing us a good one.
I don't know if Grace, you hear me?
No, I can. Yeah, we had lost you completely. Go back about 30 seconds.
Can you hear me, Grace?
Yes, we can.
I can hear you. Okay, so I was saying that what helped me was getting to know the business and to float and not sink. And here I am, 13 years after, thriving in HR. So I hope you hear me.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay.
So you were talking about learning the business and all that?
Yes, because for me, as we talk tonight about succeeding in career as a HR, I think it's very important. What comes to me is getting to know the why you exist as a HR professional. Because as HR, we exist to help the organizations in the people function of the business. And because I'm a bit older, allow me to use some of the African symbols that we know of. And what I think about is a three-legged stool. I don't know how many of us in this call can relate to that.
Yeah.
But when I think about an organization, I think about those three legs as operations, as finance, as people. People being the engine of the business. And it's good for us to know that as HR, even as we strive to grow our career in HR, we exist to meet the people need in an organization. So that stool can be able to be stable and people can be able to sit and the organization can be able to achieve its strategic objectives. And it's good for you to know who you are and the function and the part you play as a HR, as a strategist, as a change agent, as an employee advocate, as an administrator. Because when I think about a successful HR professional, those are the four components that I think of. You are a strategist. You need to be able to have and devise the right HR strategy. Of course, that connects to the organizational strategy. You are a change agent, and we can't overemphasize change, especially in this season of COVID. You are an employee advocate. It is expected that as a HR professional, you're the one who promotes the people's interests for the organizational success. Because as we said, the people are the engine of the organization. You are also an administrator, because even some of those issues of welfare, their housekeeping and the hygiene issues are very important, and you have to make sure that they are in place. So you are an administrator. Then after knowing the why, I think it's also important that you know the what. And that is what I alluded to as I give my history and how I got into the HR career. What is a business about? What needs do you meet? And what is the language of the business? Because again, you have to know the language of the business. And you have to be able to diagnose or to have a proper diagnosis of what state the business is at. So that then you can be able to prescribe the right answers or the right solutions. And as I think about building a career in HR again, just to sum it up, because I see Madangani is back, I think about the HR competencies that are defined by the Society of Human Resource Management, the SHRM. And we can check up and you can be able to check the competency model that they describe that every HR practitioner ought to have. And these 9 competencies are leadership and navigation. Because of course, as a people person, you have to be able to make sure that the organization has the right competencies, the right people values, that people are being, you have to make sure that people are being led in the correct way. We say that we do not manage people, we lead people. So the competency of leadership and navigation is very clear. The other competency, according to the Society of Human Resource Management, is ethical practice. Because we somehow, as HR, we are the moral compass of the organization. The other one is business acumen. You must be able to know your business, what your business is about, what the objectives of the business are. So that then you can be able to plug in the right people strategies. There's the aspect of relationship management when you're thinking about, we are all different people, and there are very many models that describe the different temperaments that are there, or the different makeups of people. So relationship management then comes in very handy, and it's a key competency model. The other one is consultation. As HR, you are an internal consultant for all HR aspects. The competency of critical evaluation and thinking. These days, we are thinking big data, we are thinking analytics. We are saying that we can't go around the table, and finance is putting on the table figures. And as we are giving stories, we'll be kicked out of that boardroom. So ethical evaluation and thinking, and being able to talk numbers and facts and statistics is very key. The other competency, number 7, is cultural effectiveness or global effectiveness. And I think this has even been made more prominent by the kind of crisis that we're in, the COVID-19, where we have to, we are networking much more than we used to. And with all the current agenda of whether it is inclusion and diversity, different cultures, some of us want to work in multicultural, in multinational organizations, and even without the multinational organizations. If you're just in the context of Kenya and you're thinking about the different cultures that are represented, then cultural effectiveness becomes very key. The other one is communication. And the final one is HR practice, HR expertise, sorry. So you have to be on top of your game as far as all the aspects and all the issues of HR are concerned, because you're the expert, you're the people person, you're the one who's advising end to end, and whether it's end to end or whether you're a specialist, you must be an expert in your area for a business to be able to meet all its people needs to support effectively towards meeting the organizational objectives. So as I think then, in short, about growing your career, it is good for us as HR professionals, as aspiring professionals, as we aspire to grow more in this profession, it's good for us to be able to cultivate those HR competencies. And this is a model that you can be able to check out a bit more. I think I want to pause there. I see Madangani is back.
Thank you very much, Nancy. I think you've really given it quite some context. And just before we start engaging the people, Madangani, how do we grow our careers in HR?
First of all, my apologies everyone for that technical hit. I am back on a new gadget, and as you can see now, I look like a pilot or something like that. Yes, how do we grow our careers? I don't know how much Nancy have covered, but I got a bit of the last ones. But the most important is to start off from having a goal and understanding what are the key skills that really you need. And also getting deep, diverse experience also helps. I'm not saying staying in one place has got its own advantages and disadvantages. So first and foremost, you have to understand yourself. very few of us sit back to reflect and say, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Which areas do I need to improve? That is very important, self-reflection, self-assessment. And the other area is also try to understand what is really the need or the pain of the business. If you don't understand it, sometimes we are so much engaged in what we call administrative things. These are the typical things, hygiene issues, shuffling papers, updating records. They are important, but you must make a balance to what you call administration and what you call strategic issues. So if you find yourself focusing a lot on the administrative issues, which are important, you must get them right. Records must be accurate. But what are the strategic issues that add value to the organization? And that means you really understand the business needs. So that is also very critical. Then as you move on, you also have to identify which are the growing areas in HR and how can you be able to demonstrate them. One of the regular questions that HR is always being challenged, and it's one of the most, can I say, annoying, irritating statement is, what does HR do? And this is a question that sometimes is asked by CEOs. And the minute you ask that question, just ask yourself, what do I do on a day-to-day basis, on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis that adds value? So identify, why do I add that value? If you think it is in providing an atmosphere where employees feel safe to work in and engage and share ideas, then you move towards creating effective teams. If it is high turnover, you have to do some research and find out who moves, who leaves, why do they leave, are there any factors that can be changed within the organization? And this is what we call start engaging with the business. The strategic issues is like, there are so many terminologies now, talent management, talent acquisition. At the end of the day, the employer just needs good people with good skills and they stay. And then if you continue moving, they want to know why and what you can do about it. The other one is also understanding how to make your case. Sometimes we always talk about communication skills, but they go beyond that. How do you prepare your reports? How do you go to convince a CEO just because a departmental head told you, I need an extra person? How do HR is the one that always takes it to the CEO. And then you ask a lot of questions. And then you say, well, the marketing manager, the sales manager, the account said, the factory manager said they want an extra person. So make sure you have the information, and that means coming with data. What is the role of information and data in HR? And that's why you have to acquire skills like analytical skills. You have to be able to present a report that we can derive information from and make our presentations and make compelling cases. And then not only that, you must show we came from here. This is where we started. So only start from a threshold. That turnover was this, efficiency was this. The moment I introduced, for example, higher diploma technicians, we saw an improvement in our productivity. Then you have to say, where were you before? What does that mean? Working with the business, knowing what the production manager is talking about, what the engineer is talking about, what the salesperson is talking about, and what finance eventually is saying. When I brought this salesman in this territory, there seemed to have been good business. Yes. So those are the kind of things that we need to improve over time. Then, of course, you demarcate as you move towards your career. And you say the first one, sorry, I don't know whether Nancy tackled it to Grace about the job or the career. Was that answered? So that
No.
Okay, so don't repeat. So initially you start off by going to a job, which is a do thing. Then after that, you start asking, what I do, what is the result, and how does it affect the business positively? Then you start saying, what skills do I need to actually make an impact? So that is the job that you're doing. The career is the cumulative skills you acquire over time. Then, of course, you have to master certain basic things in HR, and some of the most painful things employers are dealing with are issues of understanding the labor laws and the labor practices. If you cannot be able to stand up to a CEO with a half-page or two-page analysis of why a certain action should be taken and why you're proposing what you are taking, they will keep on telling you, please get rid of so-and-so, and you go ahead and get rid of so-and-so. And when the court case comes, they say, I don't know what HR was doing. But if you had that and says, according to the process 1, 2, 3, these are the basic things. Other things are things we ignore in terms of what is my role in things like compliances. Because when things go wrong, they say HR was in charge of safety. Yeah, because somewhere it is written, but you ignored it because nobody's looking at it. Then they say, sorry, HR, you have failed. So again, you have to know your working environment, what compliances are there. And as you develop, there are also other skills like, are you able to engage with staff and extract information that is useful? Are you compassionate? What I mean by compassionate, HR is not about mothering. Sometimes we say we are nice, you have to be nice. No, you're there to make people produce in a manner which they feel comfortable. You're there to be assertive and support an employee to be a better performer, and hence the organization also benefits. So distinguish between the niceties and telling somebody, I'm sorry, you're not working. So these are the skills within. You have to be a problem solver. Don't be the person who always goes to the CEO and say, we have a problem from who department why told me so, and so it's not good, doing good, and they said, we take action. The CEO normally asks you, what do you propose? And then you say, I came here to seek your advice. No, the CEO hired you to be able to support them make decisions. So that is why you're analytical, you're critical thinking, become a problem solver. Two, what's that also? Don't be a person quoting the policies and the laws the way we put certain statutes. First of all, let's try to understand the situation, describe it, make a proposal, give the positive and the negative, and give at least what you think. And all the time, the CEO always see you as a person who is contributing. The same with employees. In a nutshell, that's how we can start developing our careers from the job, which you are dealing with day-to-day work, to the one you become the go-to person, mastering.
So career, you're saying, is mastery, and the job is do.
Yes, and let us reflect on that. Do you go to the office and the first thing you start is a pile of papers and making certain report inputs, and let us how we also say I input, I prepare, and just wonder, yes, do you sit down with a manager who is having a problem handling a staff issue? Do you support them, make that decision? Or do you say, I agree, ataenda, lazima aende, nasikusikia sana, boss amekusumbua sana? Or are you the one who says, I want evidence why you think this person is not performing? And if they can't, you tell them, I'm sorry, they may not be performing, and henceforth, let us give them something to do, which we can measure and tell them how to do it. And if they can't, then you say maybe they are incapable. And that way you become a very good person in terms of the effectiveness, away from the one of do. And then somebody says, what is performance management? And you're trying to say, well, people have not submitted the forms, but the forms are 20 years old, they are 18 pages, and people are saying it's too much. Help them to simplify performance management, for example. Help them to simplify solving conflicts, sub-performance, disciplinary issues. Help them be able to articulate and have confidence, to be assertive. Help the employees to also appreciate why they must do what they have to do in a proper way. And that will, with time, You start acting strategic and ask for an assistant to be doing the admin work, and your work is just to check and confirm.
I think, Chris, just one quick sentence about career and about job.
Right.
When I think about job, I think job is short term because the focus is more on earning money. But when you think about a career, you think about a series of related employment that is going to provide you experience for the future. So job is short term, career is longer term. But Ngani may not agree with me on this, but I think career has more to do with a calling. I mean, because it's connected to purpose, it's connected to values. To me, that is what career is. But a job you're doing, because you just want money, you want it for the now, for the here. But then career is more purposeful, it is more strategic if you have to think about yourself and what your longer term vision is. It is connected to your purpose and values. Yeah.
Okay, excellent, excellent. I love that. And oh, I have seen Winnie saying, Nancy, please be my coach. I think you already have a client there, Nancy. And, and Paul is saying today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Paul, and thank you for being here. He says that his interest in HR is in inclusion and diversity, and especially on the physically challenged. I think that is what he meant. He says he's the blind man tuned in. Thank you very much for being here. And our experts have actually articulated some very specific lessons for us today. Someone is asking whether they can get a presentation. You can get the recording, but there's no presentation. As you can see, the panelists are not using any presentation today, but I have typed out some of the things I could pick out from the explanations they were giving. And I can see Madhangani started by saying you need to do a SWOT analysis. You need to examine what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. And also, I like the sentence by Nancy who said, we lead people, we do not manage people. So any of you people on this room, you need to get away with that, even if nothing else. You do not manage people, you lead people. So, and I think that is a very, very good line to start off with. So I encourage you, our participants and our audience, to start asking questions. The Q&A tab is actually open for you. You can use the chat or the Q&A, and we'll try and answer as many questions as possible. And especially if you're feeling stuck in terms of growing your career in HR, or you're yet to start, or you're someone who wants to propel and go into probably becoming a HR director, HR manager, or any other what is it called? Any other HR progressive title that you'd want for yourself. As somebody is saying, if I am an advocate for the employee, who becomes the advocate for me, for the organization, as the employees have a fairly strong advocate in the union or workers representative? And Nancy, you may have to take this one.
Okay, I think I'll also give Madhangani a chance to talk after I do. And what I mean about being an employee advocate, we get results through people. And I think I would want to look at the union not as an adversary, but as a partner.
Right.
Because it's much easier sometimes. Of course, none of us wants to work with unions. Right now, I'm not working in a union environment. I'm working in healthcare. I didn't mention that. Not that we don't have unions in healthcare, we do. But the specific organization where I work, I don't have a union. But in the past, I've worked in unionizable organizations where we had CBAs. And why I'm talking about seeing or viewing a union as a partner, not an adversary, it is because I think it's much easier to negotiate with one body than to negotiate with 100 employees. And I think sometimes, definitely sometimes unions go to the extreme and don't want to be reasonable. But we can also hold it up to the unions in terms of what they are advocating for vis-a-vis what the organization is able to afford. But going back to the point of being an employee advocate, whether a staff is a union member or not, as a HR director or a HR officer or a HR manager, you must, in everything you do, promote people's interest for the organization's success. Because unless those people are at the right posture to do their best, the organization won't ultimately meet its strategic objectives. So it's very important to have the employee at heart. I know there's someone else who is asking about how to balance between the organization's interests, vis-a-vis the people's interests.
And my interest as the HR.
Yeah, but that is where the sound judgment comes in. I mean, that is where the aspect of sound judgment comes in. I think we also spoke about issues like, we spoke about leadership and navigation. I think you have to be able to figure out and to navigate in different situations and to be able to balance. Because at the end of the day, I also won't be unreasonable because I'm a people's advocate at the expense of the organization. I'm also a management representative, so to say. I also have to look after the interests of the organization. So I think for me, it's much more of where do I create a balance without seeming to be skewed on one side. Because as a HR, I should not be biased. I'm for the organization and I am for the people. I don't know what Malangani would have to say.
No, but the question was, who takes care of the HR while they're taking care of everybody else?
Who takes care of the HR?
Yes. That is the question.
Hey.
Okay. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I can add from what Nancy has said.
Yeah.
One, let's start from what is said. Yes, what Nancy was saying. I think as HR professionals, we realize HR is actually about being fair. Simple. There are deadlines that regulate or guide the relationship between an employer and an employee. These are policies. There are also labor laws, which also are very specific in terms of compliances and the procedures. There are also what we call fair labor practices. And this is where HR also gets concerned when they ask what is a fair labor practice. I always give an example. You are working in a shift, you leave work at 11, you don't get transport. That is not fair labor practice, even if you're paying me overtime. So who takes care of HR when HR is taking care of the employee? Very good question. And who takes care of the employer because the unions have got their union? The employers have got employer bodies led by the umbrella body called the Federation of Kenya Employers. If you're here and your organization is not a member of that, please go back and put a case of why. They defend you, they are the lobby group at the government level, they negotiate with the umbrella government organization, central organization of trade unions, they negotiate with the unions on your behalf. That is a representative of the employer. The unions can have their specific and also specific association of groups within the Federation of Kenya Employers representing specific industries. So you go to engineering, you have got their own industry engineering group within FKE, and they are located a lawyer and a labor specialist. So that is employers. So you're all encouraged to go and tell your employer, please join this organization, the details you'll get. Now, who takes care of HR? Now, and who is a friend of HR in the organization? Is the employees, first and foremost, because if they're not, they're friend, you have a miserable time. Who takes care of you? Your managers, whom you work with, should actually also be your supporters, because when you support them solve problems, they also encourage you. And also the top management you are dealing with is where you go and say, I think we need to maybe train people in 1, 2, 3 so that they can perform better. So it is actually the organization. But as HR, you also have got your own network. I'm sure some of us belong to certain groups. 2, strive to get a mentor or a coach. Don't work alone. By the way, HR, it's not the easiest thing because some of the things you do with are human. It's not like an accountant who can say there is so money, there is so money. It's a fact. We have to do figures out there. But HR, some issues are issues that actually are emotive, but you have to be fair. So it's fairness, consistency, and I saw somebody asking, we are accused of being on the employee side. No, just say I'm being fair and compliant with that. I don't know whether that creates a balance.
I think you've covered it, and there's also the fact that you need to find a place where you can debrief, and especially when you feel like you're taking this the office to home. If you feel like you're carrying the issues from the office to your home, you really need to figure out a way to actually debrief. You need to have a good support system besides what Madhangani and Nancy have said, so that you are able to actually articulate what has gone on, even sometimes to just vent it out. You need to have a friend who you can call and vent and just talk about what you've experienced. You never know. It is also important that you get yourself a coach who can walk with you the journey, or a mentor who can tell you that this one is normal. Please don't take it to heart. Make sure that tomorrow you start on afresh. So I think having a good support system, and Nancy has said self-care is very important. I agree. So you need to figure out how you can debrief and also get a good support system, so that you have somebody you can call out to and they can be able to help you. We have some good news for you, but before that, allow me to just mention that this program is brought to you courtesy of Balcon Housing and Stallion Construction Limited. They make this possible every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. So stay tuned for those who are joining us for the first time. We do this every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. So other than that, allow us to continue with the questions. There's CNET. No, before you go to CNET, there's Mary who says, what are some of the short courses related to HR for a graduate? I mean, some auxiliary courses really necessary in the employment industry. Madhangani, maybe you can go first.
Well, okay. First, there are, okay, if you're just a recent graduate or yes, of HR, there are certain courses which are very specific to HR. The first one is what I call moving from the class to the reality. What we read in books and what we come to experience, sometimes they are very different things. So you may go to a highly unionized place. So for that, you may need to go to a course of labor laws and practices. So you really understand the environment in which you're working in. Then you may wish to take other courses, which are typical cutting across organizations. You may say, what else do I need? Maybe you need a course on the conflict management, because HR work involves a lot of solving people issues, which may not be just conflicts, but their problems. So you may need a critical thinking course. You may need to go for an emotional intelligence course. That will enable you to do a lot of self-care. The other typical courses you might want to take is that as you progress, you might say, maybe I'm not very good at numbers. Is there a course where I can go and learn to do a bit of numbers? So you might go for a course on HR reporting, HR analytics. Maybe you might want to go for that. Others might just be what we call communication. We underrate. Others are things like negotiation skills. And there are people who offer very short courses, half a day, 2 days, and you learn because you'll be negotiating all the time. But we always know that negotiation is actually a highly rated skills in some industries. So you can take others, our issues like health and safety, because eventually HR will be told you are responsible, but you've never attended a course on health and safety. Maybe you have read the act, you know what to comply with, but there are other technicalities like how do you conduct an audit on health and safety. So you may want to attend such a course. So again, depending on your industry, you segregate and say, maybe health and safety is not so close to me because I'm working in an office environment. But in a factory, this becomes crucial because the officers report to you. So, and then of course, other what I can call soft skills courses to enable you relate.
Okay. Faith, I think you have been, is it Faith? No, Tabitha. Oh, no, sorry. That was Mary's question. And Nancy, I don't know whether you have anything to add in terms of courses you can take.
Yes, if I'm to make a small addition to that, I think in progressing yourself as a HR and determining which other value add course you can take, it's very important to look at the context in terms of what need are you supposed to solve as a HR professional. So your evolution as a HR professional must be dictated by the evolution of work. For example, right now with the onset of COVID, there are so many things that have come, issues of change. I know Madangani has spoken about the soft issues like emotional intelligence, because now empathy is becoming much more important than it ever was. Issues of coaching, Generation Y are in the job market. Generation Z are getting into the market. And like our parents would get one job and retire in it. So as you observe what the trends are, the future of work and what the future job environment dictates should be able then to help you project to your own needs and what you need to do to be able to align to the needs of the present and the future. So one of the additional courses then I would say is something like change management. I think Madangani has spoken about the alternative dispute resolution mechanism, so that instead of running to the court all the time, we can mediate. So be dictated to
Okay, and
what the needs of work are.
okay. And in that spirit, no, let me just pause that one, because the HR of the future, we need to define the skills that we need in the HR of the future. But before we get there, I have a very interesting question from Grace here. How does one thrive under an insecure boss? And I'm going to start with you, Nancy, because this is coming from a lady. The organization is good, but the line manager keeps taking back responsibilities already given to the HR person. And it's not a performance issue. The head of HR is just insecure. How do you thrive in such an environment?
Wow, that's an interesting question. How to thrive with an insecure boss?
Yeah.
I think first and foremost, you have to be firm without being rude, without being disrespectful. And if you're able to get someone to advocate for you within the work environment, I think it would be a good idea to do that. Whether it is there's someone you trust that this insecure boss would be able to listen to, possibly it would help, but I would also advocate that you do your best. You have said it's not a performance issue, but I'd advocate that you continue doing your best. Do not be disrespectful, but of course, where boundaries are being crossed, I think it's important that you stand up so that at the end of the day, so that you take care of yourself. Because again, if you're dealing with insecurities day in, day out, I think that is a very difficult environment. But at the end of the day, if situations don't change, sometimes you're the one who, sometimes you look out if it's not working within the environment where you are. But I'll look at the immediate options of how to get the message to this boss who is insecure.
Okay. Madangani, anything on insecure bosses?
Nancy has said exactly. So really, you just have to use your tactics to know what the issue is, and if really it's not working, self-care is important. Yeah, yeah.
And Grace Waithera, okay. Grace Waithera, let me just alert you. We did a session on managing a toxic work environment, I think in May. You can check out our YouTube channel and you'll find quite a lot more, because we really explored toxic workplaces, and there was a question on insecure bosses. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll be able to find it. We actually had a specialist on mental health. And speaking of mental health, we have a question on what is the link between HR and mental health? Or please share the role of an HR as a mental health champion. This is from Mother, and the need to have essential counseling skills. To you, Madangani.
Okay. Okay, first, HR is very important for yourself. As we said, emotional intelligence it's important you have to understand yourself, because the kind of things you're dealing with can also be very emotional. So if you yourself are not able to understand yourself and how to respond to other people's emotions, then obviously you start. And a lot of HR people get very stressed because of the type of things they are dealing with. So it's important that HR actually get what you can call also basic counseling skills, and if you can advance them, the better for you, because then you'll be able to respond. And for the information of the attendants, psychologists and counseling psychologists are taking over the work of HR, because even in recruitment is a bit of HR. I think Nancy can comment on that, because I know there's an area she's
passionate about. Nancy?
passionate about.
Yeah. Nancy, what is the role of HR as a mental health champion?
HR has to take care of the wellness of employees. So as an advocate, I have to advocate also for the mental wellness, and it has become even much more complicated in this age of COVID. And statistics have actually shown a rise in mental issues within the work environment. I mean, there's much more stress. Sometimes you're working from home. You don't know how to handle a baby screaming on one end. You're supposed to be doing homework. So if I am not a specialist in mental health issues, I would create an environment where I enable my employees to get access to mental health. For instance, sometimes in health packages, we do have budgets for mental wellness. We do have packages for whether it is counseling sessions, debriefing sessions. I think it is very important that we create room for that, and much more so, even before we got then these interventions that are more curative. I think the preventative side of it is in creating safe spaces at work. And I think creating safe spaces where employees are even able to express themselves and speak their mind and feel supported, I think it is a first step towards advocating for the mental well-being of staff. So we do have a part both in the prevention, and in case then employees have slipped into that point where they need intervention by way of curative, then you provide the services and support them without prejudice, without stigma. Viewing mental wellness, I know there has been so much stigma around there, but we must be able to remember what the definition of health is according to the World Health Organization. So mental health is very key, and we must have mentally healthy employees.
Okay.
And someone is commenting about listening skills, and I think listening skills is part of creating that, what did I talk about? That safe environment, safe spaces for people. Yeah.
Okay. There's Janet who is asking. Janet is saying that she has a higher diploma in personnel management, higher diploma in HR, BCom in HR, MSc in HRM, CHRP, certified secretary. However, with all those qualifications, she is an HR officer and she feels stagnant in the career, and she has 11 years experience. Her duties involve being a KYM, kazi ya mkono, and how do I move my career to the next level? And you can answer that by also combining with somebody who is asking, she has 3 years experience and she wants to take her career into the next level. And she's asking which masters would you advise her to take to thrive in the job market. So you have 2 questions. One is somebody who has all the qualifications and 11 years experience and is feeling stuck. And the other person who has 3 years experience and wants to do a master's, but what can they choose to do that will help them thrive in this job market? So we can start with you, Nancy.
I think for the person who is stagnated, you need to do your skills audit. You need to evaluate where you are at, where do you want to go, and what are the options in terms of the roadmap to get you there. Because sometimes we wait so much for people to create paths for us. Sometimes we have to charter those paths for ourselves. and get our way out or get our way up. And sometimes getting our way up could be in another organization, or it could be in sometimes even moving into a different kind of role, so that ultimately you get to where you want to go. So I would encourage this person who is frustrated because of that stagnation to just have a critical look at themselves, do an inventory of where they're at, what skills they possess, and what immediate steps they need to take to move forward, without waiting for someone to, as I said, maybe I'm repeating myself, without waiting for someone to create the path for you. Try and figure out what you need to do to get out of that situation. And I think one of the best books that I've ever read, and I would ask you to read that book. It's a book I read this year. It's called The Uncharted Path. It is a book that is written by a former South Korean president who grew up in poverty, but ultimately, never mind that right now he's in jail, but he just speaks about that, taking your destiny, quote, quote, so to say, in your own hands, and figuring out and beating against all the odds to get to where you want to get to. The name of the book is Uncharted Path. You may have to buy it in Amazon. I'm seeing someone asking about the title.
You can just type it in the chat, Nancy, okay, so that everybody is able to get it, while Mr. Matangani is answering the question as well, or giving input. You are muted. You are muted, sir.
Yeah, sorry. What I'm going to say might disappoint a lot of us with MBAs or MSCs and that. The person who has asked that question, when you apply for the job, what do you put forward? Most of us put what he has said he has, but is the job requiring that? So the first thing you do is to balance the job you're applying with what the recruiter asked for. So in addition to what Nat has said, what you have, then you're saying, I've got an MSc. They simply say they wanted somebody with a bachelor's degree in HR. And they want somebody with 5 years, you have 10. So the first thing they will see is that there's a disconnect. So do a skills audit, and we'll know where to put those other qualifications so that they be fitting with what you're looking for. Because you may be applying for a HR manager's job in a large organization. But when they see you're just a HRO, maybe there's a way we, and this is as career guide coaches, there's a way we manage to put that into a better context. The other one who has also asked about, I have 3 years experience, can I do my master's? My question is, with 3 years, just check, do a survey with those jobs that are advertised for HR position. How many ask for masters? You have 3 years. The person you'll be competing with is probably 10 years experience, but at a higher level. So you'll be putting a job at because at 3 years you're still at entry level. Maybe you take about 2 years to finish. So it's very important that we be focusing on what the job required, not what we have. Because when you put your academic qualifications, and that's not what. And to be very frank, please be checking and check from tonight, Google, how many jobs in HR ask for masters? I would admit a lot of private sector are asking, but we know that is kind of because that's a public service, everybody has got a master's, even a PhD. But look at the private sector. 100 adverts, maybe an NGO might ask for a master's, and because they are NGOs. So it's good to know, why am I doing the master's? What do I want it to do for me? Now, if you have one, please start appearing strategic. I always tell people, if you have an MBA in strategic management and you're not acting very strategically in the workplace, then obviously people will start saying, this master's does not seem to have helped to grace.
So when you do that master's, when you are only 2 years, know what you want to get. And that's why I keep on saying, have you ever seen an engineer with a master's building roads and houses and factories? No. An architect? Yes, if they want to be an academic or specialist field. Doctors always want, because it gets better as you get specialist. So know what you want the masters to do for you. If you have just finished college, think very hard, because you do that masters and you're applying that job as a HRO somewhere in a bank, and they're saying, look, we already have too many, we'll give you 30,000 shillings. You start getting frustrated. So focus, know what you want to do, yeah, and really know the skills that you are selling. So that gentleman, maybe contact us at the end of this day. I would like to have a personal conversation with them.
Sorry, Grace, and just a quick one. Sorry, Grace, just a quick one. Sometimes, in addition to what Mathangani is saying, I think sometimes academic papers are overrated. I don't know about Mathangani and yourself, but I have seen very many people in interview rooms, very impressive CVs, masters, certifications, but the person comes and the soft skills, even being able to express themselves, there's a big, big disconnect. So I think we have to work much more so in ourselves. I'm not disregarding the masters, they're very important, but also think about the competencies and the competencies that you need to build in addition to the academic qualifications. It is very important. And they'll put you many steps ahead of someone who has papers but do not have the competencies that are required.
Thank you, Nancy. In fact, you beat me to it, because I was going to just conclude that point. Your papers don't matter. We should, I mean, your papers matter, but we should see them in your work, not necessarily just on paper. So, and for the person who wants to do the masters, you need to determine, like what the panelists have said, determine where you want to go, and then choose what you want to do. And somebody else is asking about competencies, but before we go there, because there's something else that is happening, we have like 3 questions on HR of the future, but one is very interesting here. He says, or she says, I'm in an organization that puts more emphasis on finance. I'm an HR or finance assistant, but I'm more of HR than finance. So for me to grow in this organization, I have to work on my financial skills. I'm torn between doing CHRP and CPA. Kindly advise, because I have no future here if I don't work on my financial skills. Mathangani, you're smiling very hard, so tell us.
One, it's the same thing. Career. What career do you want to take? If the organization emphasizes a lot on finance, it means there's something that is part of their game. So if you find yourself there, ask yourself, this is one organization where, if I go that path, where else can I use that skill? So you're going to spend another 2 years, 3 years doing CPA, become a CPA Kenya. After that, do you want to become an accountant? Do you want to become a financial analyst? What do you want to be? So if that's your line, go ahead, do it, you'll find. But if you have got that gap that I'm HR, then please, for heaven's sake, focus on professional HR courses and find the space where you'll be able to realize your potential and your dream. So I think Nancy alluded that. Yeah. What is your career? What do you want to be? Otherwise, if we just do because an employer has focused that, tomorrow they will close, or maybe it's a specialist. So it's a balance. Know where you want to go. That's what I would advise that person. I've been to a place where we were being forced to do postgraduate. Unfortunately, I didn't finish because it was like a condition for a contract to be renewed. But basically what they were telling me to do, I was not keen on. So halfway, I abandoned and up I went to another organization which did not care about whether I have completed, but I just wanted to know what I can do. That's what I would say, really. Think about your future and your real passion. Yeah, no one has talked about passion. Yes, sometimes you're not a numbers person. You just eventually lose to those who actually are more passionate about numbers.
And for a comment from you, Nancy, and make it short.
I think I won't have too much to add on that. If it's a question of someone is exposed to finance, is exposed to HR, I think I would get more into the person doing an inventory of themselves and thinking about what is their interest. What really do they want to do? I think you need to take charge of your own career as opposed to having fate dictate your career for you.
Okay, so it's more about being intentional about your career, not just, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there's an interesting question from Hannah Jerry, and it's 9:20. My people, just allow us a few more minutes so that we are able to capture as much as possible. Hannah Jerry is asking, does being a member of an HR body contribute to growing in HR career? Because I am not in any body. Madangani?
Let me say this. The growth is determined by yourself, but the opportunities may be increased by being a member of a regulatory body. Like if you're an accountant, you are advised to be a member of ISPAC because you may miss on certain opportunities. The rest is really taking charge and being intentional about it. So when you see a job said must be his CHRP, obviously you lose an opportunity. But it doesn't mean that when you go there, you'll be the best performer. But it is advisable because it's a professional course to improve your skills.
Yeah, and also being a member of IHRM for all practitioners is actually a compliance issue. It's not even like a choice. It's really a compliance issue. So you need to become a member of IHRM as per the regulations of 2012. So there's somebody else who was asking about an international, anyway, I'll look for that question. But there's quite a number of questions about what competencies are needed as an HR, but there's also, what are the competencies for the HR of the future? These are 3 questions, like from 3 different people. What are we looking at as a HR professional of the future? What are the competencies that they need? Maybe Madangani can name 2 and Nancy another 2.
I'll start off with the agility, the ability to change, adapt. That will be very important. The next one we're talking about is actually what we call dealing with diversity. We are now dealing with diverse people. The world is becoming global. The workforce is also becoming quite mixed in terms of demographics. So how do I deal at my age, deal with an 18-year-old who is an IT guru to expect them to come here at 7 a.m. So I would say, for me, those 2, Nancy can add a few others.
In addition to that, I think as a quick one, I'll talk about change management because they're moving very fast. It's a VUCA world. So change management, adaptability, decision-making. COVID-19 was unprecedented. Have to start making very rapid and clear decisions. So for me, those are some of the key competencies that you need.
Okay, so there's somebody who's asking, I have a diploma in HR as well as BCom degree in HRM. Do I need to do CHRP?
Yes. It's a compliance.
Yeah, it's compliance. Yeah. So Joseph Wanyeki is saying, how can someone get working experience of HR field while working in a different field where the organization does not give them the opportunity to practice? Or anyone can go between the 2 of you.
First, it's a bit tricky if you're working, because if you are working and the organization is not giving you that opportunity, you cannot do 2 jobs at the same time. So you have to make a hard decision, start shifting towards, if that is your area of interest, if that is what you're passionate about, then start looking for opportunities in that. Otherwise, 2 ways, you can do 2 jobs, something will go wrong. But if you're lucky to go to another organization and say, I can combine my administrative skills because you're working in operations, like Nancy said, she started from there. So there are some skills you can transfer to HR. Then you can say, I can also do a bit of finance, a bit of admin, and also a bit of staff support. So really, you have to sit down and make a decision. Because if you're enjoying the job now, but not enjoying the money now, but you're not enjoying the job, you are assured of failure in the next 5 years and stagnation in your career.
Okay. And I like this question from Jane, who is saying, no, wait, who was it from? It was from Brenda, who says, please share on how HR staff can behave more strategically. Everyone is talking about HR should be strategic, but you're not telling them the specifics that they can do. What are the telltale signs of an HR as a strategist or HR strategy? Being in the, behaving more strategically. So I will start with you, Madangani, and then Nancy can top up.
Okay, and we alluded earlier, what is the strategic component of HR? It's actually coming with, we talk about HR programs, projects, and all that. It's actually responding to an organization need, which you can demonstrate at the end of the day. For example, what is the pain in an organization? I'll just give you one maybe example. An organization with a high turnover, and the management is always concerned about a turnover, maybe in a certain department. Then you might want to say, I want to find out exactly what happens in this department. What you might find is, you need to do a survey. What is the level of job satisfaction and engagement there? Yes. Then you may find maybe there's a very toxic boss. Maybe the boss is a weak boss. Maybe the boss is the one who is toxic and getting all the jobs. So you might say, I think the problem is actually the manager. But make sure you have that point. Then you say, if we train the manager, if we give them more skills, the staff have become suspicious of the manager. So we need to also give them some form of develop their skills, because we focus so much on the technical side, accountant, but this accountant has 10 people and maybe he's unable to get the best out of them. So if you can demonstrate at the end of the day, I propose 1, 2, 3 things like training, developing of skills. And I recommended I'll be having meetings where I can coach these people how to solve problems. And since then, the last 1 year, we have only lost 1 person, not the 3 we used to, or the 4 that used to live within the first year. So that can bring what we call a strategic approach to an issue. Other places we go, people are being paid off the market. You don't have to pay the best, but you say, everybody we lose here goes to so-and-so, and they only got 5,000 shillings. So you have to find out, how are people living for only 5,000 shillings? And you come and say, I've discovered the following. So come with more. So the strategic approach is coming with action points, which you can demonstrate both qualitatively and quantitatively that they made a difference. Okay. The paperwork is very important. Errors are not permissible in HR, but they are not that make the organization bring the revenue.
Okay. Nancy?
I think I'll answer that in one sentence. It's being able to link the people practices to long-term business goals as opposed to the now. Strategy is about the future. It's long-term. So how are you linking the people issues to the future and integrating them into the overall business strategy?
Right. I like that summary, and I hope you've gotten it. Now we are going to take the last question of this evening, because most of these questions we cannot finish today, but we hope that next time we'll get another opportunity to quite explore more. Did you guys talk about the HR of the future? Madangani?
And not quite, but I think Nancy touched on it, and I would ask her to expound on it.
Yes. Can we just discuss who is the HR of the future? What do we see? What's coming? Besides the competencies now, what else are we looking at in HR?
I think when you think about the new world of work, there's so much emergence of new tools. Even when you think about recruitment, I don't know how many of us still go to the newspapers to advertise.
We don't.
It is LinkedIn, it is Facebook.
Yes.
In terms of demographic changes, millennials, I think they're about 75% in some organizations of the workforce. They have different expectations. They are expecting instant. You get in today, you're promoted tomorrow. So as HR, how do we crack that? So we have to be bold, we have to be innovative. We have to engage And we have to figure out, even with the work is not the same anymore. Work is not the place that you go to. We have been doing remote work. So how do you build teams? How do you measure performance? In the past, you'd have to go to an office, clock in using your fingerprint. Now someone is somewhere, seated somewhere. So how do you manage that? How do you get the organization through that? How do we help the organization navigate the disruptions, the rapid changes? I think that is what I would say to start with, and maybe Mathangani could add to that.
Yeah, I'll just add from the tech and digital perspective. The HR of the future is going to be usage of data, analytics, artificial intelligence. If we cannot demonstrate using data, your input to the organization, again, all the rest will be to naught. So start getting, I know HR who can do a real advantage, their worksheet. You must demonstrate. When you talk of staff turnover, when you talk of complaints in customer service, how do you get that information and try to turn it into some useful information which can influence hiring, capacity building, service delivery? So data science start coming. And I forgot, by the way, that's one course that people should also start taking as HR. Usage of data analytics. Some organizations these days are using data analytics and certain algorithms actually to determine how the workforce is behaving. How many people are achieving their goals? What type of people? Yeah, demographics also. They also the millennials seem to be achieving more better in this area, while the X and Y generation seem not to be doing this. Then they say, I think we need to forecast this. The type of skills they need are the following. So that's one key area, I think, as HR, don't be left out. Digital and tech transformation is what is going to do some of us work. There will be no rules. You go through them on your laptop, no telling somebody policy number 10. They know it is there. They don't do it, it is flagged. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much for that contribution. And I've seen my good friend Nelson has added quite a number. You can check on the chat. Nelson, yes, we will upload the recording on YouTube by most likely Friday or Saturday this week. So you can catch up in case you logged in late. We have we normally upload all our sessions on our YouTube channel, which I am going to post a link on the chat just now. But I have an interesting question, which will be the last question this evening. Somebody is saying she is an intern, and she's asking, how does an HR intern have a say in any HR decisions without looking like a know-it-all who has no experience? Please tell us, Mathangani and then Nancy.
That's a very interesting question.
Yes.
One, as you said, communication is very important. It's how you communicate to the person. So if you're communicating to them and the message appears like you do not know, I know it. No, it's a question of sharing. And that's the art of also communication. May I make a suggestion? Something I would like to say. So put it in a way without making the other person feeling that you are stepping your bounds or making them not knowing what to do. And that energy can be used very positively, but be wary of too much energy when you're new in a place. So sometimes it's how you really are able to integrate yourself. Okay, you're not a know-it-all, and I can assure you all new employees come with a lot of energy. They did it the same, then I'm told, wait, hold on. Then with the time, now you know how to be passing your message. You say, no, things are not done like that. I read here. No. So it's just how you present yourself. The language you use, let it be accommodative. You're working with people, don't hurt people's feelings. Don't appear like, yes, I know it all, but that know it all is just how you'll be able to express and be able to sell your ideas.
Excellent, excellent. Nancy?
Just to add on to what Mathangani is saying, yes, if it's a safe environment, I would speak my mind because we spoke about safety. I would make my contribution. Yes, so I would. It is up to the other person whether to take it or not.
Excellent.
If it is professional, and I believe it is professional.
Yes, so and sometimes maybe I could add, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So as long as you're not what Madhangani has said, it's more about communication skills, how you communicate your concerns, or sometimes we need the fresh blood to remind us that HR analytics is working, or there's a quicker way of doing data and stuff. So I think that is what you should say. But for everyone who is asking, how do I grow my career? I've been looking for a job. I'm a student who is studying HR, and I'm wondering where to start. Faith Kiremi says, I feel like I'm a bit late joining this amazing career advice. I'm open for a job opening, even if it's HR assistant. We have actually quite a number. I saw your comment, Faith, and I saw you, Regina. I think if you saw any opportunities, I think Madhangani will tell you what he does. Nancy, yes, it is fine to share your number. Please put your number. Anyone who is looking for a coach, for a career coach or any coach, Winnie was asking whether Nancy can become their coach. Please, Nancy, go ahead and share your number. But when we are sending the recording link, we are actually going to share with you their email addresses in case you need to reach out to them separately for coaching or anything. By the way, both of them are certified coaches, so you will be in safe hands. I can vouch for them. And they are also seasoned HR professionals, so you will actually be in safe hand. Nelson is saying, as an intern, you join with a much of book knowledge, not corrupted by experience, environment, and intuition. The best is to put forth your point with confidence. So I think that is also what Madhangani and Nancy have alluded this evening. So unfortunately, our time has been long gone, but I really thank you that you have constantly been here. I am so happy that you could join us today. Guess what? I have good news for you. We have Mr. Frank, who has volunteered to pay for 4 people to attend a course in HR, and he will be sharing with me some details about that. So if you are the lucky winner, and I am going to award the people in HR who have always joined these sessions, because I mean, why shouldn't we appreciate you for dedicating your every Tuesday here with us? I mean, I said this is our 40th episode. So if you have been here with us and you're a HR professional and you've attended more than 25 episodes, let me just be clear. You stand a chance to win a fully sponsored HR course by Frank. And just let me read out his write-up about what that will look like. Where was that comment? There was that comment. Okay. So he says, I would like to sponsor 4 of attendees 2 HRM courses, each to improve their skill set. They need to complete their training course via e-learning, an e-learner management portal website. I will email you the HRM training course list, which you can share with 4 people of your choice. Thank you very much. So, and I'm throwing it back to you. Thank you very much, Frank, for that offer. You guys are being offered 2 training courses for about, is it 4 or 2? Anyway, I'll get more details to you, and I will get to announce that in our next meeting next Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. So allow me to just ask, give me your 2 minutes. Last word, Mr. Madhangani, as we also ask Nancy to give us her last word. What is your last conclusion? How can you conclude growing your career in HR?
Well, thank you very much, Grace. So, to grow your career is to identify, first of all, the actual skills that you need to be successful, understand the business environment you're working in. Also, try to, as far as possible, we are dealing with the people, so be a very good people person. And also understand the compliances that are required. The worst nightmare of any CEO is to have an issue of non-compliance from HR. Those are just some of the key things you should look at. It's an exciting career. It's a career that actually can be very, very rewarding, but they have to be very, very intentional. Thank you.
Okay, Nancy?
Thank you so much. It's been a good evening. So I once read a post somewhere saying that the most important thing in this world is not so much where you are, but in which direction you are facing. As you aspire to grow in your HR career, it's very important that you set goals, do an inventory, and look at the gap. What is it that you need to build? Or what intervention is it that you need to make to get you to where you want to be? So look into the future, have a vision for your career, have it well articulated, and navigate your path there. And where you need to reach out for help, reach out for help. The die is not cast, the dice is in your hands for you to be able to grow your career. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. I love those welcome remarks, and I think you have articulated issues here today very well. I am seeing a lot of people saying that they need a HR coach. I hope you guys will give discounted rates to the listeners this evening, so that they are able to take this on. And if you can offer some for free, it will be really, really nice. So maybe 1 or 2 can be done for free and the rest can get a discounted rate. This is Grace just being Grace and asking for favors from her partners, which you happen to be for this evening. But yes, Mr. Madangani and Madam Nancy are actually certified coaches. So you need to actually speak to them for further consultation in terms of growing your career. There's somebody who was saying that they need to know how to ask for salary increments. I will let you ask that question after I have done my closing remarks, so that then the people who it does not apply to can leave. And then Madangani and Nancy, I hope I can borrow your 2 minutes again to answer this question on salary increment. But however, thank you very much for being with us this night. We really, really appreciate you. Thank you, Balcon Housing, for making this happen, and Stallion Construction Limited. Thank you, our partners, for being with us and for supporting us. And this is we are celebrating our first year anniversary, which was on 23rd of June. So this July and the whole of August, we shall be giving you giveaways. So today, I need somebody from Ruaka. If you're in Ruaka and you raise your hand first, you actually get a chance to get your duvet washed for free. But from Sorel Laundry. Sorel Laundry is a laundry shop based in Ruaka. They are located behind Quickmart. I'm in Ruaka. Priscilla Kamiti, you are the lucky winner of the Sorel Laundry gift hamper. Services. So you get a chance to get your duvet washed for free. So get in touch with me. You have my email address, grace@atarasolutions.co.ke, and I'll be able to hook you up with the directors at Sorel Laundry shop. Sorel Laundry is a same-day delivery that does your cleaning every day. They pick up your clothes. If you're in Ruaka and Kiambu Road, they do it for free. Pick up and delivery is for free, and they are very, very quite affordable. So I know the weather there is not very friendly for your clothes. So if you're looking for somewhere to be cleaning your clothes and your duvet and your carpet, kindly get in touch with Sorel Laundry. Maybe I should share their what is it called? Their flyer, so that you can see the spelling of Sorel Laundry. So Priscilla, you get a chance to get your duvet clean by the guys at Sorel Laundry. So this is Sorel Laundry. You can see this one. They are located behind Ruaka. And Pauline, congratulations. You are our lucky winner to get your duvet washed at Sorel Laundry for free. So I would like to thank our partners, Kapula Mintito, Current Technologies, Stallion Construction, the Career Management Center, Intercity Secure Home, Favored Cakes and Caterers, GeoTrace. By the way, next week, one of you will get a chance to get their car alarm fixed. So if you are driving already and you want to get a chance to win your car alarm fixed, please join us next Tuesday. We have the Lego Academy. We have our main sponsors, Balcon Housing, and they also gave a gift hamper to one Hillary last week. We also have giveaway from JC and Shishi Naturals, which will be coming your way very, very soon. And on top of that, we have the gift for HR professionals from Frank. So you guys are really, really in good hands. You not only get to learn, you also get a chance to walk away with a gift hamper. So thank you very much for being with us today. I have shared our YouTube channel. If you're looking for all our previous episodes, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and leave a comment. And let's keep learning, because we have covered quite a lot, from job seekers to entrepreneurs to for the people who are looking to grow their career in HR as well. And we would want to appreciate the Institute of Human Resources for allowing us to actually award everyone who is logged in here today and is a member of IHRM 1 CPD point. So thank you very much, Kuresha and team. for allowing this to happen. So having said all that, please like our Facebook page. We're actually live on Facebook to any of you, and we're always live on Facebook in case you're not able to log into the webinar. However, we have room for over 1,000 of you, so please always feel free to join us every Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we shall be discussing the link between your mindset and success. Whether as a career or whether in entrepreneurship, whatever it is you do with your life, does your mindset matter? So stay tuned, keep it here. We shall share with you the login details next week. Other than that, I can see a lot of people who are looking for career growth and career guidance. Madhangani, you need to tell us where you work, because people are asking, where do we send the CVs? I've seen Regina asking that. Where do they send the CVs? You're muted. You're muted.
Email there. Feel
Yes.
free to get in touch. What I offer basically is career coaching. So I can work with you with your career, whether you're starting, you're mid, or you're an executive. And if you're looking for opportunities, we will see where we can be able to get opportunities for you. I'm not promising. I'm just saying we'll work with you to guide you. Maybe we can open more better opportunities for you, like that gentleman who said 10 years and MSc and all that. There is a way you can start getting that. So feel free. My organization is called Prestige Management Solutions. It is actually a consultancy and leadership training and career coaching firm. So I have already given an offer here, which is the Atara offer. So if you get in touch with that email, I'll give you more details, but I can assure you to be a very generous discount, both for career coaching, including whether it is the CV preparation, the interview, and also how to chart and intentionally look your career path. So feel free. For HR people, I do run a 3-month course for HR people who want to act strategically, as somebody said here. And you see the difference in yourself. Even if it's not your current place, where you go next. So please contact me on the phone number and email I've sent that. Prestige Management Solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have quite a number of recruitment agencies. You can log in with Puzu. You can check out Brighter Monday. You can check out Career Management Center. You can check out JCVs. You can check out Atara Solutions. You can check out BimaWorks. You can check out, oh my God, there are so many Brights. You can check out, who else do I see? Doing adverts for opportunities. So if you're in the HR WhatsApp groups, kindly stay active, keep on the lookout. They share jobs like every other day. So if you belong to any of the HR groups and you don't get this, then you're not in the right group. Please join the chapter, the different IHRM branches where they share opportunities. There is HR Excellence, there is Nairobi HR chapter, there is IHRM in every region, there is HR Excellence. There are so many HR groups. So please join them so that you can get to interact. But somebody is saying they can't see the contacts. Maybe Nancy and Madhangani, you can also type out your contacts again. But there's somebody who was asking how they can be able to ask for an increment. Just as I do not want to leave that out.
Okay, I'll go first. One, the first and most important is that you must demonstrate why you are so correct. What is the difference between what you have been contributing? Are you making a difference? Two, where do you really feel that? Most people say, I just feel I'm not making my ends meet, I need more money. Sorry, the employer is not so much interested in that as much what they be interested in. If I give you this, what else are you going to ask from me? So put a case which must have quality and figure. Since I came here as a customer service officer, I managed to reduce complaints from XYZ to ABCD through ABCD. As a result, customer retention has increased from this. So please always explain your value proposition, not maisha imekuwa ngumu. Thank you. There is much more. Maybe Nancy will add.
There is just one sentence. I think they are asking for an increment. And this is not biased, but I would guess that this is a female who is asking, because sometimes it's very hard for us to ask for increments. I think first and foremost, it's good for you to know what you are worth, because you're putting yourself out there. So you need to know your value, you need to know how much you're worth, and you need to be confident about it, as you have your results speak for you. But why I said it's a female, I suppose it's a female, because I have found myself there. And sometimes it's much easier for our male colleagues to ask than for us. Sometimes it's, we should change ourselves, but be bold, because you know how much you want, and ask for it. The worst that can happen is for you to be told no. So ask for it.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, thank you. I think that is good enough summary. So there's somebody who was asking about overcoming imposter syndrome. I don't know whether you can add anything on that. I don't know whether they're still with us. Nancy, I know imposter syndrome affects a lot of women.
I'm trying to imagine her meaning of imposter syndrome.
It is the feeling of like you don't deserve what you're getting, like you cannot be good at it. Yeah, you're not good enough.
Yeah, not as competent.
Yes, not as competent, exactly. Yeah.
I think sometimes our cultural upbringing has failed us as women because so much happens to us. And it doesn't help that most of the time we work in male-dominated organizational cultures. So I think the most important thing, first and foremost, is to be confident in your own skin, be confident in your skills. Maybe it will build your confidence to just do an evaluation of your skills and competencies. Because sometimes we should change ourselves because we don't exactly know how much we possess. But you can even start by writing down on paper what your inventory of your skills is and what experiences you have. And I'm sure you can be able to find 2 or 3 things that will help you to hold your head high. So it's important to sometimes also get a mentor. Sometimes it's very helpful. Someone who is able to call you out and to challenge you. Or even if it is not a mentor, it would also be good for you to also get an accountability partner. And also be very clear about your goals and where you want to be. But something I've discovered, the greatest enemy is not your neighbor. It is not the boss who is not promoting you. It is yourself. Most of the time, the reason we fail to progress, it is because we are shortchanging ourselves. That imposter syndrome, thinking you're not good enough. Just take an inventory of what you have and you'll be surprised at what you possess. And I hope that this will build your confidence.
Excellent, excellent.
Can I just add something?
Sure, Mabangani, yes.
One of the greatest things that also puts is what we call that lack of confidence, which also turns out to be sense of low-stakes. I can't do it because I was denied this opportunity last time. So you don't want to take your job. So building that confidence also involves what we call building assertive skills. I can think that we just ignore. How do you put your case without feeling guilty about it? So say why you need that salary increment or why you deserve a better role. Be very clear about it, remove emotions about it, and see how it affects you. I have worked here for 10 years. I've never had a reprimand. My outcome has been reduced. I therefore feel I have been a major contributor in this organization, and I have noted people have spoken to me, and that makes me feel unworthy and recognized. I would like to be recognized for my efforts. let them tell you why now, because of doing that. So once you get the skill, what I can say, the first step is fail and remove a lot of personality issues around it. Because a lot of us do that. Yes, let us do that. They come up with one, then men say, yeah, that's because my boss is also a little, I do have an artist. So when we bring that, that's how the person perceives the flow. And then that's how we are discussed. So and so have got a very bad attitude towards ladies. So and so have got a bad attitude towards girls. So remove a little bit of that. Go come to do that armor. This is me. This is what I feel I deserve. They will tell you why they don't. If they don't, just know this is not my fault. But you'll be surprised, most people will just actually cover that. It works magic.
Okay, thank you very much. And I can see that people are very happy to get the Nini, what is it called? They're happy that you answered the salary increment. There's somebody who's saying this is their first time here. They're not members of HRM since they did their diploma in HRM. So they're asking whether they will get a point. It depends on when you become a member, because the CPD points are valid for members. So if you're becoming a member soon enough, within this week, yes, I believe you can get the CPD point because you attended this session. Robert Maret is asking, how will we get the CPD point? For anyone who actually attended, not the people who registered and did not attend. For anyone who actually attended this session, we will send your list to IHRM. So next year, when you're doing your renewal of your membership, you just indicate that you attended this session, and they'll be able to verify with the list that you'll send to them after this. So your data will already be at IHRM by the time you're starting you're renewing your membership for 2021, and this point will actually count. So how can we get future links to such webinars? Natasha, we normally actually send them on email, because you have registered today, we got a hold of your email, so we will send all the invitations for all webinars upcoming. We also post on our social media channels, Atara Solutions. We're on Facebook and Instagram, so you can check that out on Facebook and Instagram. We also post in all the HR groups, most of them at least, so keep on the lookout. Oh yeah, and also you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can connect. I normally post it there. So all our social media pages and my LinkedIn and my personal profiles on socials, we normally post, as well as we send an email invite to anyone who registered here today. So thank you very much for that question. So allow me to end this session today. It's already 9:58. This is actually the longest we've taken in session, and we still have 80 people online. So we normally like to end it at 9:15. So we've taken quite long, and I apologize, my people, but I'm sure you're here because you're gaining value. So, and I promise next week we'll be strict on the time. We are discussing mindset and the link to your success. So stay on the lookout. We have an interesting speaker for that. So make sure you stay tuned. I really appreciate you, Madangani and Madam Nancy, for taking the time to be here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your experiences, and your expertise with us. We really, really, really appreciate. Poleni sana for the technical hitch from the word go. Pole sana, Nancy, that your video did not work, but we can assume that you're in makeup and looking very sharp. So thank you for doing this.
I was all dressed up.
Wow.
So thank you very much for your contribution, and we really appreciate. To our viewers, asanteni sana. Please like our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I've shared the link again. It's called Get It Right with Atara Solutions. See you next week, Tuesday, same time, same place, as we look at the link between your mindset and success. Have yourselves a lovely, lovely night. Na kesho si holiday, kesho ni Monday, we do it. So be at work. Yeah, I know. I did not notice how it got to 10. So bye, kwaherini sana. And thank you, our partners, for helping us do this. We really appreciate you. So adios.
Right. Bye-bye. Thank you.